Ever feel like time slips through your fingers? The audiobook, The Time Alchemist, Turn Hours into Results, reveals the secrets to mastering your time. You'll learn to set impactful goals, plan strategically, and overcome procrastination. Discover how to enter a state of flow, delegate effectively, and build time-savvy habits. Don't let another day go by feeling overwhelmed. Transform your productivity, achieve your dreams, and live a more fulfilling life, starting now. Before we go on, I invite you to download the free bundle, which contains the ebook version of this book and an executive summary of all the chapters with the key takeaways. Studies show that engaging with content through multiple formats significantly enhances learning and retention. Click on the first link in the description to claim your free bundle now and maximize your learning potential. Now it's free, but it won't be for long, so make sure to grab it while you can. Chapter 1. The Time Mindset Shift from Scarcity to Abundance. Time is the great equalizer. No matter who you are, where you live, or what you do, you have exactly 24 hours in a day. Yet, why do some people seem to accomplish so much more than others? The answer lies not in having more time, but in how we perceive and use the time we have. This chapter is about transforming your relationship with time, shifting from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. Imagine waking up each morning feeling like you have all the time in the world to achieve your goals. Instead of rushing through your day, constantly checking the clock, and feeling overwhelmed, you move with purpose and clarity. You're able to focus on what truly matters, make progress on your most important projects, and still have time for rest and relationships. This isn't a fantasy. It's the reality of someone who has mastered their time mindset. But let's be honest, most of us don't naturally think this way about time. We're more likely to say things like, "There aren't enough hours in the day," or "I'm always behind." This scarcity mindset isn't just stressful, it's counterproductive. When we believe we don't have enough time, we make poor decisions about how to use it. We react instead of plan, we procrastinate out of overwhelm, and we waste precious minutes on low-value activities simply because we feel rushed. The good news? This mindset can be changed. Just as you can shift from a scarcity mindset about money to one of abundance, you can do the same with time, and the benefits are enormous. Research shows that people who feel in control of their time are not only more productive, but also happier and healthier. A meta-analysis published in the journal Personnel Psychology found that effective time management correlates with higher academic and job performance, as well as increased well-being. So how do we make this shift? It starts with recognizing the true value of time. Unlike money, which you can always earn more of, time is non-renewable. Once an hour is gone, it's gone forever. This might sound depressing, but it's actually empowering. When you truly internalize how precious each hour is, you become much more intentional about how you use it. Think of it this way. Imagine each day as a $24 budget, with each hour dollar spent forever once it's gone. Suddenly, wasting an hour scrolling mindlessly through social media feels like burning a dollar bill. Would you do that with your money? Probably not. So why do it with your time? This analogy helps us see time as an investment rather than something to be spent or killed. Just as a savvy investor allocates their portfolio for maximum returns, a time alchemist allocates their hours to activities that yield the highest returns in terms of their goals and values. To start shifting your mindset, try this exercise. For one full day, keep a detailed log of how you use your time. From the moment you wake up to when you go to sleep, jot down each activity and how long it takes. Be honest, include everything from brushing your teeth to checking your phone to working on that big project. Once you have your log, go through and categorize each activity as high, medium, or low value. High-value activities are those that directly contribute to your most important goals or align with your core values. Maybe it's time spent working on your business plan, quality time with family, or exercise for your health. Low-value activities might be aimless web surfing, gossiping, or watching TV shows you don't even really enjoy. Medium is everything in between. Necessary tasks that don't exactly light you up but need to get done. Now, look at your log with fresh eyes. Where were you acting out of a scarcity mindset, doing things just because you felt you had to, or reacting to others' demands? Where were you proactive, using time on what truly matters to you? You might notice patterns like, I waste 2 hours every evening in front of the TV because I'm too tired to do anything else. Or, I spend my most productive morning hours answering emails instead of working on my novel. This awareness is powerful. You can't change what you don't notice. But now that you see how you're actually spending your time, you can make different choices. The key is to start small. Pick one change for tomorrow that moves you toward time abundance. For instance, if you spent 2 hours on low-value web browsing, could you reclaim 30 minutes of that for a high-value task you've been too busy for? Plan it out concretely. Tomorrow, from 8 to 8:30 a.m., I will work on writing my business plan instead of checking social media. As you make these small shifts, you'll start to feel a sense of control over your time. Instead of being at the mercy of external demands and habits, you'll see how your choices shape your day. This is the essence of the abundance mindset, recognizing that while you can't create more time, you absolutely can choose how to use the time you have. But what about all those urgent tasks and demands from others? This is where ruthless prioritization comes in. An abundance mindset doesn't mean pretending you have infinite time. It means being crystal clear on what matters most to you and aligning your time accordingly. Take a moment right now to jot down your top 3 life goals or values. Maybe it's building a successful business, being present for your family, and maintaining excellent health. This short list becomes your North Star for time-related decisions. If an activity doesn't support one of these priorities, it's likely not the best use of your precious hours. This clarity makes it easier to say no to low-value activities and yes to high-value ones. It's not about being selfish or neglecting responsibilities. It's about being intentional. When you know that every hour invested in learning a new skill for your business has a high return, while an hour of mindless social media scrolling yields almost nothing, the choice becomes clearer. Of course, this doesn't mean every minute must be productive. Rest, play, and downtime are crucial for well-being and creativity. The key is to choose these consciously rather than defaulting to them out of habit or exhaustion. Intentional relaxation feels very different from accidental time wasting. As you practice this new way of thinking about time, you might encounter resistance, both from yourself and others. Old habits die hard, and people in your life might be used to you always being available. This is where the real mindset work comes in. Remind yourself daily, I have enough time for what truly matters. This isn't about magically getting more hours, but about giving yourself permission to focus on what counts. One powerful practice is to start each day with gratitude for the time you have. When you wake up, take a deep breath and think, today I have 24 fresh hours to move closer to my goals. This positive outlook can significantly reduce stress and improve your decision-making throughout the day. Remember, this shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice. That's why we recommend repeating the time audit and reflection exercise for several days in a row. Over a week or two, you'll start to see patterns more clearly. You'll catch yourself in moments of scarcity thinking and be able to pivot to abundance. You'll get better at aligning your daily actions with your bigger priorities. The ultimate goal is to become a true time alchemist, someone who consistently turns hours into meaningful results. This doesn't mean becoming a productivity machine or never having downtime. It means living with intention, making conscious choices about your time, and feeling a sense of satisfaction at the end of each day, knowing you've invested your hours wisely. As you continue this journey, you'll likely notice ripple effects in other areas of your life. When you feel in control of your time, you tend to feel more in control of your life in general. Your stress levels may decrease. Your progress towards goals may accelerate. You might even find yourself with pockets of extra time, not because you've magically created more hours, but because you're using the hours you have so much more effectively. This abundance mindset also allows for greater flexibility and spontaneity. When you're clear on your priorities and efficient with your time, you can more easily adapt to unexpected opportunities or challenges without feeling like your whole schedule is derailed. The journey to time mastery is ongoing. Even as you improve, there will always be new challenges and opportunities to refine your approach. The key is to keep that abundance mindset at the forefront. You have enough time for what truly matters. It's up to you to decide what that is and align your hours accordingly. As we close this chapter, take a moment to envision your ideal day. Not a fantasy where you have 48 hours, but a realistic day where you feel in control of your time, making progress on what matters most, and ending the day with a sense of satisfaction. That vision is entirely possible with the right mindset and tools. In the coming chapters, we'll dive deeper into specific strategies for planning, prioritizing, and maximizing your time. But remember, all of those techniques are built on the foundation we've laid here. Without the right mindset, even the best time management tools will fall short. Your journey to becoming a time alchemist starts now, with a simple yet profound shift in how you view those 24 hours you're given each day. Embrace the abundance of time, align it with your true priorities, and watch as hours transform into the results you've always dreamed of achieving. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Grow to the Top and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2: Goal Setting for Maximum Impact. Have you ever felt like you're constantly busy, yet at the end of the day, week, or even year, you're not quite sure what you've actually accomplished? You're not alone. Many of us fall into the trap of confusing activity with progress. We fill our days with tasks and to-dos, but without a clear destination in mind, we're like sailors adrift at sea. Lots of motion, but no real direction. This is where the art and science of goal setting comes into play. But not just any goal setting. We're talking about goal setting for maximum impact. It's about crafting targets that not only excite and motivate you, but also serve as a compass for your daily actions. When done right, your goals become the secret ingredient that transforms mere hours into tangible, meaningful results. But what exactly makes a goal powerful enough to drive real change in your life? It's not just about writing down a wish list. There's a specific alchemy to creating goals that truly guide your actions and decisions. Throughout this chapter, we'll uncover the elements that turn ordinary aspirations into extraordinary achievements. Let's start with a simple truth. Clarity is power. The clearer you are about what you want to achieve, the easier it becomes to make decisions about how to spend your time. Think about it. If you know you want to write a book, suddenly that hour you might have spent scrolling through social media looks different. It becomes an opportunity to write a few paragraphs, research your topic, or outline a chapter. This clarity of purpose is the foundation of effective goal setting. It's about defining your North Star, those big, meaningful objectives that will guide your journey. But here's the catch. Many of us think we have clear goals, when in reality, we're operating with vague notions of success. Consider the difference between I want to be successful in my career and I want to earn a promotion to senior analyst by the end of Q4. The first is a nice sentiment, but it doesn't give you much to work with. The second, however, provides a clear target. It allows you to ask yourself, what do I need to do today to move closer to that promotion? As you begin to think about your own goals, challenge yourself to be as specific as possible. Instead of get fit, try run a 5K race by next spring. Rather than start a business, aim for launch my e-commerce store with 10 products by July 1st. The more specific you are, the more real and achievable your goal becomes. But specificity is just the start. There's a whole framework for crafting goals that are designed for success, and it goes by the acronym SMART. You may have heard of SMART goals before, but understanding how to apply this framework can be the difference between a goal that fizzles out and one that propels you forward. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Let's break these down. Specific we've touched on this, but it bears repeating. Your goal should answer the who, what, where, when, and why. Finish writing a 50,000-word novel by November 30 is specific. Write more is not. Measurable. You need a way to track your progress and know when you've reached your goal. Numbers are your friends here. Whether it's words written, dollars earned, or hours practiced, find a way to quantify your goal. Achievable. While it's great to aim high, your goal should be within the realm of possibility given your current resources and constraints. It's about finding that sweet spot between challenging yourself and setting yourself up for failure. Relevant. This is where you check that your goal aligns with your broader life objectives and values. A goal might be specific, measurable, and achievable, but if it doesn't fit into your bigger picture, it's not going to provide the motivation you need. Time-bound. Every goal needs a deadline. Without a time frame, it's too easy to push things off indefinitely. A deadline creates urgency and helps you allocate your time effectively. As you craft your goals using the SMART framework, you're not just creating wishful thinking, you're developing a roadmap for your time and energy. Each element of SMART contributes to making your goal actionable and achievable. But here's where many people stumble. They create SMART goals and think the work is done. In reality, this is just the beginning. The real magic happens when you take these well-crafted goals and integrate them into your daily life. This is where we turn to some fascinating research by psychologists Edwin Locke and Gary Latham. Their goal-setting theory, developed over nearly 4 decades of research, provides some key insights into why certain goals lead to better performance than others. One of their most important findings is that specific, challenging goals consistently lead to higher performance compared to vague or easy goals. In other words, telling yourself to do your best is far less effective than setting a concrete, ambitious target. Why does this work? When you set a specific, challenging goal, it focuses your attention, it mobilizes your effort, it increases your persistence, and perhaps most importantly, it encourages you to develop strategies to achieve it. Think about a time when you faced a tough deadline or a high quota at work. Chances are, you worked harder, stayed later, and maybe even came up with creative solutions you wouldn't have otherwise. That's the power of a challenging, specific goal in action. But Locke and Latham's research reveals another crucial factor: commitment. For a goal to be effective, you need to be truly committed to achieving it. This is where the relevant part of SMART goals becomes especially important. When a goal aligns with your values and long-term vision, you're much more likely to stay committed even when the going gets tough. So how do you ensure you stay committed to your goals? One powerful strategy is to write them down. It might seem simple, but the act of putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard makes your goals more concrete. In fact, research suggests that people who write down their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them. But don't stop at just writing them down once. Create a goals journal where you not only list your goals, but also explore why they matter to you. For each goal, write a short paragraph answering, what exactly am I trying to achieve? Why is this important to me? When do I want to accomplish this by? This exercise forces you to clarify your intentions and connects your goals to your deeper motivations. Another key to maintaining commitment is regular review and feedback. Set up a system to check in on your goals regularly, perhaps a weekly review on Sunday evenings or a monthly deep dive on the first of each month. During these reviews, assess your progress, celebrate your wins, no matter how small, and adjust your approach if needed. This regular review process serves multiple purposes. It keeps your goals top of mind, preventing them from getting lost in the day-to-day hustle. It allows you to course correct if you're veering off track. And perhaps most importantly, it provides a built-in accountability system. Speaking of accountability, sharing your goals with others can be a powerful motivator. When you tell someone about your intentions, you're more likely to follow through. It's not just about the potential embarrassment of not meeting your stated goals. It's also about the support and encouragement you can receive along the way. Consider finding an accountability partner or joining a group focused on similar goals. For instance, if your goal is to write a novel, joining a local writers group or an online writing community can provide both support and gentle peer pressure to keep you on track. Now, as you're setting these powerful, smart goals and building systems to support them, you might start to feel a bit overwhelmed. After all, big goals can seem daunting when viewed as a whole. This is where the art of breaking down goals comes into play. Every big goal is really just a series of smaller goals and tasks strung together. Your job is to reverse engineer your goal into manageable chunks. Start with your end goal and work backwards, asking yourself, what needs to happen right before I achieve this goal, and before that, and before that? For example, if your goal is to publish a book by the end of the year, your backwards plan might look something like this. December, launch book. November, final edits and formatting. October, receive and incorporate feedback from beta readers. September, complete full draft. August, write chapters 7-9. July, write chapters 4-6. June, write chapters 1-3. May, create detailed outline. April, research and develop concept. Suddenly, your big scary goal of publish a book has transformed into a series of monthly objectives, each of which can be further broken down into weekly and daily tasks. This process of breaking down goals serves several purposes. It makes the overall goal less intimidating. It provides clear next steps, eliminating the paralysis that often comes with facing a large task. And perhaps most importantly, it allows you to create a direct link between your daily actions and your big picture aspirations. With this breakdown in hand, you can start scheduling specific tasks into your calendar. Block out time for write 500 words or research chapter topics, just as you would for a meeting or appointment. This is how you ensure that your goals don't remain abstract concepts, but become integrated into your daily life. As you put this goal-setting framework into practice, you'll likely encounter challenges. Maybe you'll set a goal that turns out to be unrealistic, or you'll face unexpected obstacles. This is normal and even valuable. Each setback is an opportunity to refine your approach. Remember, the purpose of goal setting isn't to predict the future with perfect accuracy. It's to give yourself a clear direction and a framework for making decisions about how to use your time. As you progress, don't be afraid to adjust your goals or your methods for achieving them. Flexibility within your framework is key to long-term success. One final piece of advice. As you're setting and pursuing your goals, don't forget to enjoy the journey. While it's important to have a clear destination in mind, the real growth often happens in the day-to-day effort of moving towards your goals. Celebrate your progress, learn from your setbacks, and stay connected to why your goals matter to you in the first place. By now, you should have a solid understanding of how to set powerful, actionable goals that can truly transform how you use your time. You know the importance of specificity, the power of writing things down, and the value of breaking big goals into manageable chunks. But setting goals is just the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to take these well-crafted goals and turn them into a concrete plan of action. We'll delve into the art of planning and scheduling, uncovering strategies that will help you navigate the gap between your big picture aspirations and your daily to-do list. As we move forward, keep in mind that mastering your time is a journey, not a destination. Each step you take in aligning your actions with your goals brings you closer to becoming a true time alchemist. The path ahead holds secrets to unlocking productivity you never thought possible. Are you ready to discover what lies beyond goal setting? Chapter 3. Planning and Scheduling Like a Pro. Have you ever felt like you're constantly chasing your own tail, always busy, but never quite getting ahead? You're not alone. Many of us set ambitious goals only to find ourselves overwhelmed by the day-to-day chaos of life. The missing link? A solid plan and schedule. But here's the thing. Not all plans are created equal. Some leave you feeling boxed in and stressed, while others seem to evaporate in the face of reality. What if there was a way to create a plan that not only keeps you on track, but also adapts to life's inevitable curveballs? That's exactly what we're going to explore in this chapter. We're going to uncover the secrets of planning and scheduling like a true professional. By the end, you'll have a toolkit that transforms your big goals into manageable daily actions, all while maintaining the flexibility to roll with whatever life throws your way. Let's start with a fundamental truth. Planning is the bridge between your goals and your actions. Without a plan, even the most well-crafted goals can remain frustratingly out of reach. But with the right approach, your plan becomes a powerful ally, guiding your daily decisions and keeping you focused on what truly matters. One of the key benefits of effective planning is that it reduces decision fatigue. Think about it. How often do you find yourself wondering, what should I do next? Each time you ask that question, you're using up valuable mental energy. A good plan eliminates much of that mental chatter, freeing up your brain power for more important tasks. But there's a catch. Many of us fall into the trap of the planning fallacy, a cognitive bias that leads us to consistently underestimate how long tasks will take. We've all been there. Oh, this will only take an hour, we say, only to find ourselves still working on it 3 hours later. Recognizing and countering this tendency is crucial for creating realistic, achievable plans. So, how do we start building a plan that works? It begins with understanding the power of a weekly and daily planning routine. Think of your weekly plan as your roadmap. It gives you a bird's-eye view of what's coming up and how you'll make progress on your goals over the next 7 days. Ideally, you want to set aside 20 to 30 minutes at the start of each week, perhaps Sunday evening or Monday morning, to map out your major tasks and commitments. This isn't about scheduling every minute, but rather about getting a clear picture of what lies ahead. As you create this weekly plan, jot down key deadlines, appointments, and goal-related tasks for each day. For instance, you might note Tuesday, 2 p.m. project meeting, or Wednesday evening, work on Chapter 3 of ebook. This overview ensures nothing important slips through the cracks and helps you balance your workload across the week. But a weekly plan alone isn't enough. To really supercharge your productivity, you need to zoom in further with daily planning. Each evening, or first thing in the morning, if that works better for you, create a specific to-do list for the day ahead. This is where you get granular, identifying your top priorities for the day. A powerful technique here is the MIT's method. MIT stands for Most Important Tasks. The idea is simple. Identify no more than 3 tasks that, if completed, would make the day a success. These are your non-negotiables, the tasks you tackle first or during your peak energy hours. By focusing on your MITs, you ensure that even if the day goes off the rails, as days sometimes do, you've still made meaningful progress on what truly matters. Below your MITs, you can list secondary tasks, things you'd like to get done if time allows, but that won't derail your progress if they need to be pushed to another day. Now, here's a crucial point that many people miss. Your plan needs to have built-in flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and a rigid plan that can't accommodate surprises is a plan that's destined to fail. This is where the 70% rule comes in handy. The idea is to schedule only about 70% of your available time with planned tasks. If you have an 8-hour workday, aim to plan roughly 5 to 6 hours of focused work. This leaves a couple of hours as a buffer for unexpected emails, sudden meetings, or tasks that take longer than anticipated. When not if surprises occur, your entire schedule doesn't implode. This flexibility is key to maintaining consistency in your planning practice. Remember, the goal isn't to follow your plan perfectly every day. That's an unrealistic expectation that will only lead to frustration. Instead, the aim is to plan consistently. The very act of planning daily and weekly, even if you constantly need to adjust, keeps you proactive rather than reactive. Think of planning like a workout for your time management muscle. Just as you wouldn't expect to get in shape after one trip to the gym, you can't expect to master planning overnight. It's the consistent practice that builds strength and flexibility over time. Now, let's dive into some specific techniques that can take your planning and scheduling to the next level. One of the most powerful is time blocking. This involves allocating specific blocks of time on your calendar for particular tasks or categories of work. The beauty of time blocking is that it helps protect your day from being eaten up by reactive tasks. Instead of letting your inbox dictate your schedule, you're proactively deciding how to use your time. For example, you might block 8 to 9:30 a.m. for writing Chapter 3 and 10 to 10:30 a.m. for email responses. Think of your calendar as a puzzle board and your tasks as pieces. Start by placing the big, important pieces first, your MITs and other high-priority tasks. If you have a report to write that will take 2 hours, block those 2 hours. Then fit in smaller pieces, like 30 minutes for clearing your inbox or 15 minutes for a quick phone call. When done right, time blocking can significantly improve productivity by ensuring you have dedicated focus time for high-priority work. It also helps combat the tendency to underestimate how long tasks will take. When you see those blocks on your calendar, it becomes clear how much or how little you can realistically accomplish in a day. Another powerful technique is task batching. This involves grouping similar small tasks together in your schedule. For instance, instead of checking and responding to emails throughout the day, you might block 2 30-minute slots, perhaps late morning and late afternoon, to process emails in batch. Batching creates efficiency much like an assembly line. Doing related tasks in sequence is faster than constantly switching modes. You might designate a block for all your minor administrative tasks, like filing expenses and returning calls, or batch your errands, handling them all in one afternoon rather than making multiple short trips throughout the week. As you plan your days, it's also crucial to consider your personal energy rhythms. We all have times when we feel more alert and focused, and times when our energy naturally dips. By identifying your peak productivity hours, you can schedule your hardest or most creative tasks during those windows. For many people, mid-morning is a high-energy time, making it ideal for tackling strategic work or complex problem-solving. If you tend to feel drowsy after lunch, that might be a good time for more routine tasks like paperwork or low-priority emails. By matching task difficulty to your energy levels, you ensure you're using your brain's prime time for what matters most, turning hours into quality results instead of struggles. Don't forget to schedule breaks, too. It might seem counterintuitive, but regular short breaks can actually improve your overall productivity. Knowing you have a 15-minute break coming up at 11 a.m., for example, can help you stay focused during a 9 to 11 a.m. deep work session. Breaks allow you to recharge and come back fresh, ultimately improving your output. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the planning fallacy. As we mentioned earlier, humans have a tendency to underestimate how long tasks will take, even if we've done similar tasks before. This optimistic bias can wreak havoc on even the best-laid plans. Recognizing this tendency is the first step to countering it. Think about the last time you thought, this will only take 20 minutes, and an hour later you were still working on it. We've all been there. The key is to develop strategies to plan more realistically. One of the best antidotes is to use historical data. If you've done a similar task before, how long did it actually take? Use that as a baseline rather than your gut feeling. If it's a new task, seek advice from someone who's done it before, or break it into parts and estimate each component. A practical tip is to keep a time log of recurring tasks. For example, note that your monthly report took about 5 hours last month. Next month, plan for 5 hours, or even a bit more to be safe. Over time, you'll build a personal database of how long things really take, making you a time estimation pro rather than an optimist with a chronically overloaded schedule. Another useful rule of thumb is the add 20% rule. Whatever time you think a task will take, add about 20% more as a buffer. This helps account for unforeseen hiccups. If you finish early, great. You have bonus time to use for a break or to start on the next task. If not, you've saved yourself the stress of running late. It's also wise to plan for Murphy's Law. the idea that if something can go wrong, it will. This doesn't mean being pessimistic, but rather being prepared. As you plan, ask yourself, what could come up to disrupt this? Maybe your boss will drop an urgent task on you, or a family emergency might arise. Have a contingency plan. Identify the critical tasks that must happen that day, and have a fallback plan for others that could slide if necessary. By having this flexibility built into your plan, you can adjust on the fly without panic. You're no longer at the mercy of unexpected events. Instead, you're prepared to navigate them while still making progress on what matters most. Now, all of this planning and scheduling might sound great in theory, but how do you actually put it into practice? This is where the planning playbook comes in, a step-by-step framework for turning these concepts into a sustainable routine. Start with a weekly preview. Choose a consistent time each week for planning. Mark it as an appointment on your calendar to ensure it happens. During this time, list everything you aim to accomplish in the upcoming week, both personal and work-related. Then, assign each major item to a specific day. Remember the 70% rule. Don't jam-pack every day. Leave room for flexibility. Next, time block your calendar. Take the items for each day and block them on your calendar with realistic durations. Include buffers between tasks and don't forget to schedule breaks. Physically seeing these blocks makes your commitment real and helps you visualize how your week will unfold. Each evening, identify your top 3 tasks for the next day, your MITs. These should already be in your calendar from your weekly planning, but writing them as a short list gives you a quick focus reference for the morning. Underneath, list any other small tasks or errands for the day. Start each day with a quick morning review. Glance at your calendar and to-do list to prime your brain for what's ahead. If you notice anything unrealistic, maybe something from yesterday got delayed and now you have 2 big tasks colliding, adjust first thing. It's better to proactively move a task to later in the week than to passively hope you'll find time for everything. As you move through your day, use alarms or calendar notifications to keep you on track. A 5-minute warning before your next block helps you wrap up the current task and transition smoothly. Treat your planned blocks seriously. If a coworker asks for a quick chat during your writing block, politely schedule it for later if it's not urgent. At the end of each day, do a quick check and tweak. Cross off completed tasks, so satisfying, and note any that didn't get done. Reschedule those immediately to a specific new time. This quick reflection not only updates your plan, but also lets you leave work with a clear mind, knowing you have a handle on unfinished business. Finally, during your next weekly planning session, do a brief review. Did you stick to your blocks? Were your time estimates accurate or consistently off? Adjust the coming week's plan accordingly. Over time, your weekly plan will become more precise as you learn from experience. By following this planning playbook, you'll develop a sustainable routine of proactive scheduling. It takes a bit of effort up front, but it saves tons of time and stress during the week. You're effectively becoming your own project manager, ensuring that your daily actions align with your bigger goals. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Some weeks will go more smoothly than others, and that's okay. The key is to keep showing up, keep planning, and keep adjusting as needed. Over time, you'll find yourself accomplishing more with less stress, handling unexpected challenges with grace, and steadily moving towards your most important goals. As you master these planning and scheduling techniques, you'll be well equipped to tackle the next crucial aspect of time management. But what could be even more important than planning? What invisible force often derails even the best-laid plans? In the next chapter, we'll uncover a skill so vital that without it, all your careful planning could be for naught. Are you ready to discover the missing piece that ties everything together? Chapter 4. Prioritization, working on what matters most. Have you ever reached the end of a busy day, exhausted and drained, only to wonder what you actually accomplished? It's a common experience, and it points to a crucial skill that many of us struggle with: prioritization. In our fast-paced world, where demands and distractions constantly vie for our attention, the ability to discern what truly matters is more valuable than ever. But what exactly does it mean to prioritize effectively? It's more than just making a to-do list or tackling the loudest, most pressing tasks first. True prioritization is an art form, a way of thinking that allows you to consistently focus on high-impact activities and make the most of your limited time and energy. As we dive into this chapter, we'll uncover powerful frameworks and strategies that will transform how you approach your daily tasks. You'll learn to distinguish between what's merely urgent and what's genuinely important, and you'll discover how to allocate your time and energy for maximum impact. At its core, prioritization is about making wise choices. It's about evaluating the importance and urgency of tasks to decide not just what to do, but what to do first, what to postpone, and sometimes what to eliminate entirely. This might sound simple, but in practice, it's a skill that many people struggle with. Why is that? Part of the challenge lies in our natural biases and tendencies. We're often drawn to urgent tasks because they provide a sense of immediate accomplishment. Responding to that email ping or crossing off a quick to-do item gives us a little hit of dopamine, a feeling of productivity. But are these urgent tasks always the most important? To answer this question, we need to delve into a fundamental concept in prioritization: the distinction between urgent and important tasks. This idea was famously articulated by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who said, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." Let's break this down. Important tasks are those that contribute significantly to your goals or values. They have a meaningful impact on your work or life in the long term. These might include activities like strategic planning for your business, learning a new skill that will advance your career, or spending quality time nurturing important relationships. The key characteristic of important tasks is that they align with your bigger picture objectives and often yield long-term benefits. Urgent tasks, on the other hand, demand immediate attention. They have a pressing deadline or time pressure attached. These might include responding to a ringing phone, replying to emails marked as urgent, or handling a last-minute request from a colleague. The defining feature of urgent tasks is their immediacy. They make you feel like you need to drop everything and address them now. Here's the crucial point. Urgency is about timing, not value. Some urgent tasks are indeed important, but many are not. A ringing phone feels urgent. It literally demands your attention, but the call might be spam or a trivial matter. It's urgent, but not important. Understanding this distinction is the first step in mastering prioritization. But how do we apply this knowledge in practice? This is where the Eisenhower matrix comes in, a powerful tool for categorizing and prioritizing tasks. Imagine a square divided into 4 quadrants. The vertical axis represents importance, high at the top, low at the bottom, and the horizontal axis represents urgency, high on the left, low on the right. This creates 4 categories of tasks. Quadrant 1, top left, urgent and important. These are critical issues or pressing deadlines that align with your goals. They need to be addressed immediately. Quadrant 2, top right, important but not urgent. This is the golden quadrant where real progress happens. These tasks contribute significantly to your long-term goals, but don't have immediate deadlines. Quadrant 3, bottom left, urgent but not important. These tasks feel pressing but have little impact on your goals. They're often other people's priorities imposed on you. Quadrant 4, bottom right, neither urgent nor important. These are essentially time wasters or low-value activities. The power of this matrix lies in how it guides your actions. Quadrant 1, tasks need to be done now, but the goal is to minimize time spent here by planning better and addressing important matters before they become urgent crises. Quadrant 2 is where you should aim to spend most of your time. These are the activities that move you towards your goals and prevent future fires. Quadrant 3 tasks should be delegated or minimized where possible. They're the sneaky time stealers that make you feel busy without actually advancing your important objectives. Finally, Quadrant 4 activities should be eliminated or severely limited. They're essentially just distractions. Let's look at how this might play out in practice. Imagine you have a project deadline coming up. Quadrant 1, a long-term strategic plan to work on. Quadrant 2, a colleague asking for help with a non-critical task. Quadrant 3, and the temptation to scroll through social media. Quadrant 4. Using the Eisenhower matrix, you'd prioritize finishing the project to meet the deadline. But you'd also make sure to carve out time for that strategic planning, even though it's not urgent, because it's crucial for your long-term success. You might politely decline or defer your colleague's request if it's not aligned with your priorities. And you'd resist the urge to waste time on social media, at least until more important tasks are handled. This framework provides clarity, but implementing it consistently can be challenging. One major obstacle is what psychologists call the mere urgency effect. This is our tendency to prioritize tasks with short completion windows over tasks with larger completion windows, even when the longer-term tasks are more important. In a fascinating study, researchers Meng Zhu, Yang Yang, and Christopher K.C. found that people often choose to complete urgent but ultimately less important tasks instead of tasks that are more important but less urgent. This bias towards urgency can lead us to spend our days putting out small fires instead of making meaningful progress on our most significant goals. Why does this happen? Part of it is psychological. Our brains get a small reward for completing tasks, and urgent tasks promise a quick win. It feels good to clear out your inbox or cross off a bunch of small items from your to-do list. In contrast, important tasks are often bigger, harder, and have rewards far in the future. Writing a chapter of your book or developing a new business strategy doesn't provide that immediate sense of accomplishment. Recognizing this bias is the first step to overcoming it. Once you're aware of the mere urgency effect, you can catch yourself in the act of prioritizing urgent but unimportant tasks over important but non-urgent ones. But awareness alone isn't enough. We need strategies to combat this urgency bias. One powerful approach is to frame tasks by their impact. When you're tempted to tackle a bunch of small, urgent tasks, remind yourself of the expected payoff of the important task you're putting off. Writing it down can help. Completing this project proposal could win a $100,000 contract for the company. Seeing that in front of you can help dwarfing the pseudo-urgency of clearing out your inbox. Another effective strategy is to allocate specific times for low-importance, urgent tasks. For instance, you might decide to check and respond to emails only at 11:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. This way, when you feel the itch to check your inbox at 9:30 a.m., you can remind yourself, I have time set aside for that later. Right now is for my important project work. You can also use if-then rules to guide your behavior. For example, if it's before 11 a.m., then I do no email or trivial tasks. I only work on important projects. Or, if I feel the urge to do a small task, then I'll first spend 10 minutes on my most important task of the day. Often, once you start on the important task, momentum takes over and the urgent itch subsides. Sometimes, effectively prioritizing means saying no to unimportant urgencies. It's okay, and often necessary, to decline or defer requests that are urgent for others but not important for you. Learning to politely say, I can't get to this until next week, or I'm focusing on a high-priority project today. Can someone else handle this? Can save you from getting sucked into other people's urgencies. You might worry about upsetting people if you don't jump on their requests immediately. But in reality, if you communicate professionally, most people will understand. Everyone juggles priorities, and by not always being instantly available for trivial matters, you actually train your colleagues to respect your time. They might even start solving those urgent issues on their own. Every time you protect your important work from an unimportant interruption, you reinforce to yourself that your goals matter. It's a powerful way to align your actions with your priorities. While the Eisenhower matrix is a fantastic tool for day-to-day prioritization, there's another principle that can help you zoom out and focus on what truly drives results: the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. This principle, named after Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, suggests that roughly 80% of effects come from 20% of causes. In the context of time management and prioritization, this means that about 20% of your activities produce 80% of your results. The implications of this principle are profound. It means that a small subset of what you do each day has an outsized impact on your success. Your job, then, is to identify these vital few tasks or projects that yield the biggest results or progress. How do you identify your vital 20%? Start by reviewing your past achievements. Which actions led to your biggest successes? Which uses of your time made you happiest or most fulfilled? Look for patterns of high-impact activities. Once you've identified your high-impact activities, the next step is to minimize or delegate the trivial many, the 80% of activities that only contribute 20% of value. While you can't avoid all low-impact tasks, you can streamline, delegate, or cut as many as possible. This frees up more time for the high-impact work. Take a critical look at your workload and ask, if I had to drop tasks or put some on the back burner, which would matter least? Maybe it's attending a weekly meeting where you add little value, or writing detailed reports that few people read. Find ways to reduce the footprint of these low-value activities. Could that meeting be skipped or summarized in an email? Could the report be shorter? Or can someone else handle it as a growth opportunity for them? The goal is to spend your energy where it counts most. Use the insights from the 80-20 rule to double down on what works. If 2 of your 5 project initiatives are yielding most of the benefits, focus more on those 2 and perhaps pause the others. This doesn't mean ignoring everything else, but being strategic about where you put your best hours and energy. Now that we've explored these powerful concepts and strategies, let's talk about how to put them into practice consistently. This is where our priority filter framework comes in, a step-by-step approach to sorting your tasks and ensuring you're always focused on what matters most. Start each day or the night before by brain dumping all the tasks you think you need to do onto paper or a digital document. Don't worry about order or importance yet. Just get everything out of your head. Include meetings, emails to send, project work, errands, everything. Next, label each task with its appropriate quadrant from the Eisenhower matrix, Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4. Be honest with yourself about what's truly important. For each task, ask, does this significantly impact my goals or obligations? And does this need immediate attention? Now it's time to prioritize within these categories. Highlight or circle all your Q2 tasks. These are your high-value tasks to protect. Schedule them into your day first, using the time blocking techniques we discussed in the previous chapter. Q1 tasks come next. They must get done, so slot them in as early as possible too. For Q3 tasks, consider if you can delegate them to someone else or batch them to handle after your Q1 and Q2 tasks are done. For Q4 tasks, decide what to eliminate entirely or save for off-work leisure time. Next, apply the 80-20 rule to your list. Look at your Q1 and Q2 tasks combined. These are your important items. Ask yourself, which of these will produce the most significant results? Mark the top 20%, maybe just 1 or 2 items, with a star. These are your critical tasks for the day, the ones you should tackle when you have the most energy and focus. To combat the mere urgency effect, plan specific times to handle any Q3 tasks that are clamoring for attention, like emails or messages. Schedule these after you've worked on your Q2 tasks. This way, when you feel the urge to check your email, you can remind yourself, I have time for that later. Right now is for my important work. As a mini challenge, identify one Q3 task on your list that you will not personally do. Either politely decline it or delegate it. This might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's a crucial skill to develop. Make a note of which task you delegated or dropped, who will handle it, or what the outcome was. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect on how well you stuck to your priorities. Did urgent things sneak in and steal time from important ones? If so, what was the cause? An unexpected crisis, or just the lure of small tasks? Use these insights to adjust your approach for tomorrow. Maybe you need to enforce quiet hours or adjust expectations with others. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Even one solid hour spent on a key project in Quadrant 2 is a victory. Jot down what you did well in prioritizing today and one thing you want to improve. This constant tuning will sharpen your prioritization skills over time. By consistently applying this priority filter, you'll develop a habit of quickly sorting any to-do list into what truly matters and what can wait or be offloaded. Over time, this becomes second nature. You'll notice you're achieving more of your big goals and feeling less controlled by the noisy urgency of everyday demands. Remember, prioritization is not about doing more things. It's about doing the right things. It's about making conscious choices about where to invest your time and energy for maximum impact. As you master this skill, you'll find yourself not just busy, but truly productive, making meaningful progress towards your most important goals. But even with the best prioritization skills, there's still a formidable enemy that can derail our best intentions. In the next chapter, we'll confront a challenge that plagues even the most organized among us. It's a force so pervasive that some call it the thief of time. Are you ready to face this silent saboteur and learn how to overcome it once and for all? Chapter 5. Overcoming Procrastination, Taking Action Now. We've all been there. That important task looming on the horizon, growing larger and more daunting with each passing day. We know we should start, but somehow we always find a reason to put it off. I'll do it tomorrow, we tell ourselves, even as a nagging voice in the back of our mind reminds us that tomorrow never seems to come. This invisible force that holds us back, that keeps us from taking action even when we know we should, has a name: procrastination. It's the thief of time, the saboteur of dreams, and for many of us, a constant companion we'd rather bid farewell. But what if I told you that procrastination isn't just a character flaw or a lack of willpower? What if it's actually a complex interplay of emotions, psychology, and ingrained habits? And more importantly, what if there were proven strategies to overcome it? In this chapter, we're going to dive deep into the world of procrastination. We'll uncover why it happens, even to the most ambitious and well-intentioned among us. We'll explore the hidden costs of putting things off, costs that go far beyond just missed deadlines. And most crucially, we'll arm you with a toolbox of practical techniques to break free from procrastination's grip and start taking action now. But before we can defeat this enemy, we need to understand it. So let's start by asking, why do we procrastinate in the first place? At its core, procrastination is a self-regulation failure. It's a disconnect between what we intend to do and what we actually do. This gap often occurs when there's a mismatch between effort and reward. Tasks that are difficult, unpleasant, or lack immediate payoff tend to be postponed in favor of easier, more instantly gratifying activities. One key insight comes from what psychologists call temporal motivation theory. This theory suggests that our motivation for a task can be expressed as a formula. Motivation equals expectancy value, impulsiveness delay. In simpler terms, we're more likely to procrastinate when we're not confident about the task, low expectancy, don't value it highly, are easily distracted, high impulsiveness, or when the deadline seems far away, long delay. Understanding this can be a game changer. It means that procrastination isn't just a time management issue, it's often emotional and psychological, and that understanding opens up new avenues for tackling it. Let's delve deeper into why we procrastinate. Often, it's because a task feels aversive, boring, difficult, or anxiety-provoking. In the moment, putting it off brings relief. We avoid the discomfort, and our brain rewards us with a little hit of dopamine. It's a form of mood management. We delay to dodge negative emotions. This is why you might suddenly find yourself cleaning your entire living space when you're supposed to be working on a challenging project. The cleaning, which you normally might not enjoy, suddenly seems appealing because it allows you to avoid the more daunting task at hand. But this relief is short-lived. The task doesn't go away. It lingers in the back of your mind, creating a constant low-level stress. As the deadline approaches, this stress intensifies, often leading to last-minute panic and rushed work. Another factor that contributes to procrastination is a lack of immediate consequences. When a deadline is far away or there's no set due date, it's easy to put things off. Humans are notoriously bad at prioritizing long-term benefits over short-term ease. This is why it's so easy to skip a workout or put off starting that big project. The consequences aren't immediate or tangible. Interestingly, procrastination can also stem from perfectionism. It might seem counterintuitive, but high achievers often procrastinate not because they're lazy, but because they set extremely high standards for themselves. The thinking goes, if I can't do this perfectly, I'll wait until I feel ready. Or the task looms so large in their mind that starting becomes scary. This perfectionism-fueled procrastination can be particularly insidious because it often affects the tasks and goals we care about most. The more important something is to us, the more we want to do it well, and paradoxically, the more we might put it off out of fear of not meeting our own high standards. Low self-efficacy, a lack of confidence in our ability to complete a task successfully, is another common cause of procrastination. When we're not sure how to approach a task or doubt our ability to do it well, avoidance becomes tempting. The task remains vague and scary in our minds, making it even harder to start. Now that we understand some of the reasons behind procrastination, it's crucial to recognize its real costs. Procrastination isn't just a harmless habit. It can have serious negative impacts on our work, our well-being, and our long-term goals. One of the most obvious costs is the hit to quality and performance. When we procrastinate, we often force ourselves into a last-minute rush. This can lead to errors, superficial work, and missed opportunities for refinement. Studies have found that chronic procrastinators tend to get lower grades and job evaluations. Essentially, by habitually starting tasks at the 11th hour, we're not giving our best selves a chance to show up. But the costs go beyond just the quality of our work. Procrastination takes a significant toll on our mental well-being. When we put off tasks, they don't disappear. They linger in the back of our minds, creating a constant low-level stress. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished tasks bug us mentally. As deadlines approach, this stress often spikes, leading to feelings of guilt, anxiety, and self-recrimination. We carry the weight of, I should be doing X all day, which is mentally exhausting. This emotional toll can lead to burnout and hits to our self-esteem. Perhaps most insidiously, procrastination can become a negative cycle that affects all areas of our lives. We might start missing opportunities, applying late for things and missing deadlines, or putting off important personal matters until small issues become major problems. It's the opposite of time alchemy. We're turning precious hours into problems rather than results. But here's the good news. Procrastination is not an immutable character trait. It's a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed with the right strategies and consistent effort. So let's dive into some practical techniques to overcome procrastination and start taking action. One of the most effective strategies is to break tasks down into tiny steps. Often, we procrastinate because a task seems huge or undefined. By slicing the task into the smallest possible next step, we make it far less intimidating and easier to start. For instance, if write my thesis makes you want to crawl under a rock, instead commit to write 200 words on the introduction, or even just outline 3 main points for section 1. A small start is far less daunting and can help build momentum. This approach, sometimes called the salami method, works because it addresses several root causes of procrastination at once. It makes the task feel more manageable, reducing the anxiety and overwhelm that can lead to avoidance. It provides a clear next action, combating the paralysis that can come from not knowing where to start, and it allows for quick wins, which can boost our confidence and motivation to continue. Another powerful technique is the 2-minute rule. This rule states that if a task will take less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately. This helps prevent small tasks from piling up and becoming overwhelming. But the 2-minute rule can also be applied to larger tasks you're procrastinating on. Commit to working on the task for just 2 or 5 minutes. Tell yourself you can stop after that if you want to. Often, just starting is the biggest hurdle. Once you've done 5 minutes, you'll likely continue because the initial resistance is broken. And even if you do stop, you've still made progress, which can make it easier to come back to the task later. Using deadlines and micro milestones can also be highly effective, especially for longer-term projects. Create interim deadlines even if the task isn't due for a while. For example, if you have a presentation due in 4 weeks, you might set deadlines for having the outline done by the end of week 1, a draft of the slides by week 2, and so on. These self-imposed deadlines create a sense of urgency that can counteract the tendency to put things off when the real deadline seems far away. And by breaking a big project into smaller milestones, you make it feel more manageable and provide yourself with multiple opportunities for the satisfaction of completion along the way. For those who struggle with maintaining focus, the Pomodoro technique can be a game changer. This method involves working in focused 25-minute bursts, called Pomodoros, followed by short 5-minute breaks. After 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. The beauty of this technique is that it makes starting feel easier. You only have to commit to 25 minutes of work, which feels more doable than an open-ended work session. It also builds in regular breaks, which can help maintain energy and motivation over longer periods. Another strategy is to incentivize action by attaching immediate rewards to task completion. Our brains are wired to seek instant gratification, so we can use this to our advantage. Promise yourself a small reward for completing a chunk of work, maybe 30 minutes of guilt-free leisure time or a favorite treat. This approach helps associate the task with a positive outcome that isn't so far in the future. Over time, the completion of tasks itself becomes rewarding as you get hooked on that feeling of accomplishment, but until then, these small bribes can work wonders to get you over the initial hump of starting. Accountability and public commitment can also be powerful motivators. Telling someone about your goal or task can push you to start, as can creating a consequence for not following through. You might agree to owe a friend money if you don't meet your self-imposed deadline, or ask someone to check in on your progress regularly. This works because we generally hate letting others down or looking bad in front of them. By making our intentions public, we create external pressure to follow through, which can be just the push we need to overcome inertia. While these strategies can help in the moment, it's also important to work on some longer-term mindset shifts to truly overcome procrastination. One crucial shift is learning to embrace imperfection. Give yourself permission to do a 70% good job on the first try. Remember, you can often improve a rough draft, but you can't improve a blank page. This mindset shift is particularly helpful for perfectionists. By lowering the bar to get started, you free yourself to take action. Interestingly, once you start, you often do better than expected. But even if you don't, you'll have something concrete to refine, which is always better than having nothing at all. Another helpful approach is to find ways to increase the appeal of tasks you tend to procrastinate on. If a task feels tedious, can you turn it into a game or a challenge? If it feels pointless, can you remind yourself of the bigger picture? How does it serve your goals or others? Sometimes, connecting a dull task to a higher purpose can boost your willingness to tackle it. Building discipline gradually is also key. Procrastination habits won't disappear overnight, so start by tackling just one thing you've been putting off. Each time you override procrastination, it's a win that makes the next win easier. Over time, you'll start to see yourself as someone who takes action, which can significantly reduce the mental battle each time you face a task. It's also worth considering whether chronic procrastination might be signaling deeper issues. If you find yourself procrastinating on everything, it might be a sign of burnout or other mental health concerns. If it's task-specific, it might indicate that the task or goal doesn't truly align with your values or interests. Don't be afraid to reassess and adjust your path if needed. Now that we've explored these strategies, let's put them into practice with the Procrastination Buster Plan. This step-by-step framework will help you take a task from lingering on your to-do list to completion. Start by identifying one important task you've been avoiding. Write down what the task is and why it's important to complete. This reminder of significance will serve as your motivator. Next, analyze the barrier. Why are you procrastinating on this specific task? Is it boring, unclear, too big? Understanding the reason will help you choose the right strategy to overcome it. Then, break the task into the smallest possible subtasks. Make a checklist of these mini steps, ensuring the first step is something you could start right now with no more than 5 to 10 minutes of effort. Now comes the crucial part, the 5-minute challenge. Set a timer for 5 minutes and do the first subtask immediately. Don't overthink it, just dive in. When the timer rings, if you're okay to continue, set it for another 5 or 10. If you really want to stop, take a short break and then do another 5-minute round. The key is that you've started, which is often the hardest part. Create mini deadlines for your subtasks, assigning target dates or times to each. Write these in your planner or calendar. If possible, share this plan with someone to add a layer of accountability. Implement a reward system. Promise yourself a specific small reward upon completion of the task, or a significant chunk of it. Visualize enjoying the reward. That positive emotion can pull you toward finishing. If you struggle with self-accountability, set up a check-in with a buddy. Knowing that someone will be asking about your progress can keep you on task. Finally, once you complete the task, take a moment to reflect. How bad was it actually versus how bad you felt anticipating it? Often, we realize the dread was worse than the job itself. Note what technique helped most and how you feel now that it's done. This reflection can be powerful motivation the next time procrastination looms. By consistently applying these strategies, you'll find yourself procrastinating less and less. You'll have a clear method to handle that initial "I don't wanna" inertia, transforming procrastination from a roadblock into just a brief speed bump on your route to achieving your goals. Remember, overcoming procrastination is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small, and keep pushing forward. With time and consistent effort, you'll find yourself naturally taking action and making steady progress towards your goals. As we close this chapter, you might be wondering, even with all these strategies to beat procrastination, how can you ensure you stay focused once you actually start working? In the next chapter, we'll explore a state of mind so powerful it can make hours fly by while you produce your best work. Are you ready to unlock the secret to deep, effortless concentration? Chapter 6, Mastering Focus, Eliminating Distractions and Entering Flow. In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, the ability to focus has become something of a superpower. We're bombarded with notifications, emails, and an endless stream of information, all vying for our attention. It's no wonder that many of us feel scattered, overwhelmed, and unable to concentrate on the tasks that truly matter. But what if there was a way to reclaim your attention? To create an environment where deep, meaningful work isn't just possible, but becomes your default state. This chapter is all about unlocking that potential within you. We're going to explore the art and science of focus. We'll delve into why it's so crucial in today's world and how mastering it can dramatically amplify your productivity and the quality of your work. But more than that, we'll uncover how deep focus can lead to a state of flow, that blissful condition where time seems to melt away and you're fully immersed in your task, producing your best work almost effortlessly. Let's start by addressing a common misconception, the myth of multitasking. Many of us pride ourselves on being able to juggle multiple tasks at once. We answer emails while on a conference call, scroll through social media while working on a report, or try to listen to a podcast while writing an important document. We think we're being efficient, maximizing our time by doing multiple things at once. But here's the truth. Our brains aren't actually capable of focusing on multiple complex tasks simultaneously. What we're really doing when we think we're multitasking is rapidly switching our attention between different tasks. And this switching comes at a cost. Every time you shift your focus from one task to another, there's a cognitive cost. You have to reorient yourself, remember where you left off, and get back into the groove of the task. This takes time and mental energy. Studies have shown that this constant task switching can reduce productivity by as much as 40%. Think about that for a moment. If you work an 8-hour day while constantly multitasking, you might effectively be losing over 3 hours of productive time. That's not efficiency. It's a huge drain on your potential output. The alternative to multitasking is what we call single tasking or monotasking. This means giving your full attention to one task at a time. When you single task, you engage more deeply with your work. You make fewer mistakes, think more creatively, and often enter a state of flow more easily. Flow, a concept introduced by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, is a state of complete absorption in an activity. When you're in flow, you lose track of time, you're fully focused, and you're operating at peak performance. It's in this state that we often produce our best work. But achieving and maintaining focus, let alone entering a flow state, can be challenging in our distraction-filled world. So let's talk about how to identify and minimize those distractions. Distractions generally fall into two categories: external and internal. External distractions are things in your environment that pull your attention away from your task. These might include email notifications, chat messages, phone calls, or colleagues dropping by your desk. Internal distractions, on the other hand, come from within your own mind. Daydreams, worries, or the sudden urge to check social media or look up some unrelated information. One of the most insidious aspects of these distractions is how long their effects can linger. Research by Gloria Mark at UC Irvine found that after an interruption, it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully refocus on the original task. That means every time you check a quick text or email, you're potentially losing almost half an hour of productive time. Knowing this, it becomes clear how important it is to create a distraction-free environment when you need to focus. This might mean turning off notifications on your devices, finding a quiet space to work, or using noise-canceling headphones. It could involve clearing your desk of clutter, or using website blockers to prevent you from absent-mindedly browsing distracting sites. For many people, one of the biggest sources of distraction is communication: emails, instant messages, and the like. Instead of being constantly available and checking these throughout the day, try batching your communication. Set specific times for checking and responding to emails and messages. This not only helps you focus during your work periods, but can also reduce stress by limiting the constant influx of information and demands. Now that we've talked about minimizing distractions, let's explore some techniques to actively improve your focus. One popular method is the Pomodoro technique. This involves working in focused 25-minute bursts, called Pomodoros, followed by short 5-minute breaks. After 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. This technique works well for several reasons. First, it breaks your work into manageable chunks, making it easier to start and maintain focus. Second, the regular breaks help prevent mental fatigue. And third, knowing you have a break coming up can help quell the anxiety that you're missing out on something by not checking your phone or email. Another useful technique is the to-list method. Keep a blank notepad next to you as you work. At the top, write the one task you're focusing on. As you work, whenever a distracting thought pops up, like remembering you need to pay a bill or wondering if a client has replied to your email, jot it down on the bottom half of the page, your distraction list. This acknowledges the thought, so you don't worry about forgetting it, but allows you to maintain focus on your main task. After your work session, you can address or schedule these items. Mindfulness and meditation practices can also be powerful tools for improving focus. These practices essentially serve as workouts for your attention span. By regularly practicing focusing your attention, for instance, on your breath during meditation, you strengthen your ability to concentrate and resist distractions in other areas of your life. As you work on improving your focus, you may find yourself occasionally slipping into a state of flow. Flow is characterized by complete absorption in a task, a sense of effortlessness, and often a loss of self-consciousness and time awareness. It's in this state that we often do our best, most creative work. While you can't force yourself into a flow state, you can create conditions that make it more likely to occur. Clear goals, immediate feedback, and a balance between the challenge of the task and your skill level are all important factors. Additionally, minimizing distractions and creating a conducive environment, as we've discussed, can help facilitate flow. It's important to note that flow often doesn't happen instantly. You might need to work on a task for 15 to 30 minutes before you start to slip into that deeply focused state. This is why it's crucial to protect longer blocks of uninterrupted time for important work. Once you do enter a flow state, it's important to protect it. Avoid the temptation to check the time or switch tasks just because you've hit a challenging part. If others try to interrupt you, have a system in place to politely defer non-urgent matters. Remember, these periods of deep focus and flow are precious. They're when you're likely to make your biggest breakthroughs and produce your highest quality work. Music can be a helpful tool for some people in maintaining focus and facilitating flow. Instrumental music, nature sounds, or specially designed focus music can help create a consistent auditory environment that blocks out distractions and signals to your brain that it's time to concentrate. When you finish a deep work session or need to stop, perhaps for a scheduled meeting, take a moment to jot down where you are and what you plan to do next. This bookmarking technique can significantly reduce the time it takes to get back into the task when you return to it later. It's also crucial to remember that sustaining high focus over the long term requires proper rest and recovery. Make sure you're getting enough sleep and taking regular breaks. Paradoxically, one of the keys to better focus is what you do outside of your focus sessions. Taking care of your physical and mental well-being so that when it's time to concentrate, your brain is ready and able to do so. Now that we've covered these concepts and techniques, let's put them into practice with the Focus and Flow Challenge. This is a framework designed to help you experience firsthand the power of deep focus and potentially tap into a flow state. Start by auditing your distractions. For one full day, keep a tally of every time you get distracted or switch tasks when you meant to be focusing. Don't try to change your behavior on this day, just observe and count. By the end of the day, you might be surprised at how often your focus is broken. This awareness is the first step towards change. Next, design your focus zone. Choose a task that you want to give your undivided attention to for an hour. Plan your environment carefully. Choose a time when you're least likely to be interrupted and when your energy levels are good. Prepare your space, gathering everything you'll need and removing potential distractions. Plan to turn off notifications and let others know you'll be unavailable during this time. When it's time for your focus session, commit to single tasking. Write down the specific task you'll be working on and keep it visible. Set a timer for your desired focus duration. Start with 25 or 30 minutes if an hour seems daunting. During this time, work only on that task. If other thoughts or tasks demand your attention, jot them down on your distraction list to deal with later. If you find it difficult to focus for extended periods, try using the Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of focus followed by a 5-minute break. During your break, step away from your work area, stretch, or take a short walk. Avoid checking email or social media during these short breaks, as you might get sucked in. As you work, pay attention to how you feel. You might notice yourself slipping into a state of deep concentration where time seems to fly by and you're fully absorbed in your task. This could be the beginnings of a flow state. If you hit this point, try to continue until you reach a natural stopping point or feel slight fatigue. Don't break this flow voluntarily unless absolutely necessary. If you do get interrupted despite your precautions, handle it strategically. For non-urgent interruptions, have a prepared response like, "Can I get back to you in an hour? I'm in the middle of something important." If it's an unavoidable interruption, take a moment afterwards to jot down where you stopped so you can more easily resume later. After your focus session, reward yourself with a short break. Then take some time to reflect on the experience. How much did you accomplish compared to a normal, more scattered hour of work? How do you feel? Less stressed, perhaps even energized? Make note of what worked well and what didn't. This reflection will help you refine your approach for future focus sessions. Challenge yourself to do at least one such focus block each day for a week. Gradually increase the length or number of sessions as you become more comfortable. You might aim for 2 one-hour deep work blocks each day. This alone could make you far more productive than a typical 8-hour day filled with distractions and multitasking. As you practice this focus and flow challenge, you'll likely start to notice a significant difference in both the quantity and quality of your work. You may find yourself getting more done in less time, feeling less stressed, and producing higher quality output. Over time, your ability to concentrate will strengthen, distractions will have less hold on you, and you'll more regularly tap into that flow state where hours turn into high-impact results. Remember, mastering focus is a skill that improves with practice. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your progress, no matter how small. With consistent effort, you can transform your working habits, dramatically boost your productivity, and experience the satisfaction of doing your best work. As we conclude this chapter on mastering focus, you might be wondering, even with these newfound skills, how can you ensure you're applying them to the right tasks? After all, being highly focused on the wrong things won't get you closer to your goals. In the next chapter, we'll explore a critical skill that determines whether your laser-like focus translates into meaningful progress or wasted effort. Are you ready to discover the secret to making every focused hour count? Chapter 7, Time Leverage, Delegation and Saying No. Have you ever felt like there aren't enough hours in the day to accomplish everything on your to-do list? Do you find yourself constantly busy, yet still struggling to make meaningful progress on your most important goals? If so, you're not alone. Many ambitious individuals fall into the trap of trying to do it all themselves, believing that's the path to success. But what if I told you that the key to achieving more isn't about doing more, but about doing less? This chapter is about unlocking a powerful secret that can dramatically amplify your productivity and effectiveness. It's about learning to leverage your time in ways you might not have considered before. We're going to explore 2 simple words that, when used correctly, can transform your relationship with time and skyrocket your results. These 2 words might surprise you. They're not complex productivity hacks or cutting-edge time management techniques. In fact, they're words you already know and use every day. But learning to wield them strategically can be a game changer for your personal and professional life. The first word is no. It's a small word, but for many of us, it's incredibly difficult to say, especially in professional contexts. We worry about disappointing others, missing out on opportunities, or being seen as uncooperative. But what if saying no more often could actually lead to greater success? The second word is help. This might seem counterintuitive. After all, isn't asking for help a sign of weakness or incompetence? Shouldn't we be able to handle everything ourselves? But as we'll discover, knowing when and how to ask for help, whether through delegation or outsourcing, can be a powerful way to multiply your effectiveness. At its core, this chapter is about understanding and leveraging the concept of opportunity cost. Every time you say yes to something, you're implicitly saying no to something else. Every hour you spend on one task is an hour you can't spend on another. By becoming more intentional about how you allocate your time and energy, you can ensure that you're focusing on the activities that truly matter and that only you can do. Let's start by exploring the value of your time. Have you ever actually calculated what an hour of your time is worth? It's an enlightening exercise. If you earn $50,000 a year and work roughly 2,000 hours, that's about $25 per hour. This means that every time you spend an hour on a task, you're essentially spending $25. Is that task worth that amount? Could someone else do it for less? This isn't about being mercenary with every minute, but it helps put things in perspective. If you spend 3 hours struggling with a technical issue that an IT professional could solve in 1 hour for $50, You've effectively spent $75 of your time, plus frustration, on something that could have been handled more efficiently. Understanding the value of your time makes it easier to identify tasks that you should delegate or outsource. If someone else can do a task 80% as well as you for less than your hourly rate, it often makes sense to let them handle it. This frees you up to focus on the tasks that truly require your unique skills and expertise, your highest and best use of time. But knowing the value of your time is just the first step. The real challenge for many of us is learning to say no to tasks and commitments that don't align with our priorities. This can be particularly difficult if you're a people pleaser or someone who prides themselves on being helpful and available. The key is to reframe how you think about saying no. Instead of seeing it as a negative, turning someone down, or refusing to help, think of it as a positive choice. When you say no to something that's not aligned with your goals or priorities, you're actually saying yes to something more important. For example, if you say no to an optional meeting that you don't really need to attend, you're saying yes to an hour of focused work on an important project. If you say no to a non-essential task that someone asked you to do, you're saying yes to maintaining the quality of your work on your existing commitments. Learning to identify when to say no is crucial. Start by using your priorities as a filter. If a task or request doesn't align with your goals or isn't as important as other things on your plate, it's a candidate for no. Also, pay attention to your gut reaction when someone asks you to do something. If you feel immediate dread or resentment, that's often a sign that you should consider declining. Of course, saying no doesn't mean being rude or unhelpful. There are many polite and professional ways to decline requests. You might defer. I'd love to help, but I'm swamped this week. Can we revisit next month? Offer a limited version of what was asked. I can't take that on fully, but I could spend 15 minutes giving you some ideas, or suggest an alternative. I'm not the best person for this, but maybe Tom could help. If you're not used to saying no, start small. Practice declining minor requests or invitations that aren't crucial. You'll likely find that the world doesn't end, and people are more understanding than you might expect. In fact, you might find that people respect you more when they see that you value your time and have clear priorities. Another powerful way to reduce the number of times you have to say no is to proactively set boundaries. This might mean blocking out certain times on your calendar for focused work, setting office hours when you're available for meetings or questions, or establishing a policy of not checking work emails after a certain time in the evening. These boundaries are essentially pre-made decisions about your availability that protect your time. They can feel awkward to establish at first, but clear expectations actually tend to make relationships smoother. People generally appreciate knowing when they can and can't expect to reach you or get your help. Now, let's turn to the other powerful word in our time leverage toolkit, help. Specifically, we're talking about delegation and outsourcing, ways to get help with tasks that don't require your personal attention. Many ambitious individuals struggle with delegation. They might think, if you want something done right, do it yourself, or worry that asking for help is a sign of weakness. But effective delegation is actually a sign of strong leadership and good time management. The first step in delegation is identifying which tasks you should hand off. Look for things that are time-consuming but not particularly skill-intensive, tasks outside your main area of expertise, or activities that could be a growth opportunity for someone else on your team. A good rule of thumb is that if someone else can do a task 70 to 80% as well as you can, or could with a bit of training, it's a candidate for delegation. Overcoming trust issues is often the biggest hurdle in delegation. It's true that the first time you delegate a task, it might not be done perfectly, but think of delegation as a skill, both for you and for the person you're delegating to. It improves with practice. Start with smaller, less critical tasks and build trust over time. When you do delegate, be clear about your expectations. Specify the desired outcome, any constraints or guidelines, and when you need the task completed. Provide necessary resources or training. Then, and this is crucial, resist the urge to micromanage. Check in at agreed-upon points, but give the person room to approach the task in their own way. Focus on results, not on whether they're doing it exactly as you would. Remember, delegation isn't just about offloading work. It's also about developing your team, building their skills and confidence. When you delegate meaningful work, you're empowering others and creating a more capable, resilient team. This pays dividends in the long run, as you're essentially growing time assets, people who can effectively extend your capacity. For tasks that can't be delegated within your team or organization, consider outsourcing. This might mean hiring freelancers for specialized tasks or using services to handle personal chores. If it's affordable and saves you significant time or stress that you can redirect to higher value activities, outsourcing can be a smart investment. Don't overlook the power of automation either. Many repetitive tasks can be automated with technology. It's like delegating to a machine. Setting up email filters, using scheduling tools, or employing software to handle routine data tasks can save you hours over the course of a year. One of the biggest challenges in leveraging your time through delegation and outsourcing is emotional, learning to let go. Many of us have a deep-seated need to control everything or to be involved in every detail. But remember, your goal is to achieve your big objectives and have a balanced life, not to personally do every task. If someone else can help you get there faster, or if skipping something won't matter in the long run, that's a smart move, not a failure. To put these ideas into practice, let's explore a framework called the Time Leverage Toolkit. Start by making a task inventory. Create 3 columns: A for tasks only you can do or truly want to do yourself, B for tasks someone else could do with some instruction, and C for tasks that perhaps no one really needs to do or that you might drop entirely. From your B column, choose 1 work task and 1 personal task to delegate or outsource this week. Start small. Maybe it's asking a team member to compile some routine reports or hiring a service to mow your lawn. Set it up, provide instructions, and then step back. This is a mini experiment to show yourself that delegation can work. Next, identify an upcoming request you suspect might come your way or something already on your plate that you can politely decline. Plan out how you'll say no and then follow through. You might be surprised at how understanding people can be when you explain your priorities. Consider setting aside a small budget for outsourcing. Use it to offload a particularly draining task and note how you use the time or energy you've freed up. This can be a powerful way to demonstrate to yourself the value of leveraging your time. Establish 1 new boundary this week. It could be time-based, no work emails after 8 p.m. Task-based, I will not take on new projects until current ones are done. Or people-based, I won't answer non-urgent calls during my designated focus time. Communicate this boundary to others if necessary and hold yourself to it. After a week or 2 of implementing these strategies, take some time to reflect. What went well? What challenges did you face? Adjust your approach based on what you've learned. Remember, delegation and boundary setting are skills that improve with practice. As you become more comfortable with these techniques, start scaling up. Identify more tasks to delegate, look for opportunities to say no to low-value commitments, and continue to refine your boundaries. Over time, you should find that your schedule contains mostly high-value tasks that truly require your personal attention, with the rest either handled by others or eliminated entirely. By consistently applying the Time Leverage Toolkit, you'll likely start noticing a significant shift. You'll have more breathing room in your schedule and more time for the big, important stuff. You might find your work week becomes less hectic, or you finally free up some personal time that used to be consumed by chores or low-value tasks. But perhaps more importantly, you'll feel a greater sense of control over your time and energy. Instead of being a bottleneck who must do everything, you become more like a conductor, ensuring everything gets done by the right people at the right time. This not only multiplies what you can achieve, but also reduces stress and the risk of burnout. As you master the art of leveraging your time through delegation and saying no, you'll transform from an overburdened worker into an effective time strategist. You'll be channeling your energy where it counts the most, focusing on the tasks and projects that truly move the needle on your most important goals. Remember, effective time management isn't just about what you do, it's also about what you choose not to do personally. By getting comfortable with the words no and help, you can free up hours to maximize your results and create space for what truly matters in your life. As we conclude this chapter on time leverage, you might be wondering, now that you've freed up more time and energy for what's truly important, how can you ensure that you consistently make the most of it? In the next chapter, we'll explore a powerful approach that can turn your newfound time and focus into lasting results. Are you ready to discover the secret to making your productivity gains stick? Chapter 8: Building Time-Savvy Habits and Routines. Have you ever wondered why some days feel effortlessly productive, while others leave you feeling like you're constantly swimming against the current? The difference often lies not in what you do, but in how you do it. More specifically, it's about the habits and routines you've built or haven't built into your daily life. In this chapter, we're going to explore a powerful concept that can transform your relationship with time. It's an approach that goes beyond mere time management techniques and taps into the very core of how our brains operate. We're going to delve into the world of habits and routines and discover how they can become your secret weapon in the quest for greater productivity and fulfillment. But what exactly do we mean by habits and routines, and why are they so crucial to effective time management? Let's start by unraveling this mystery. At its core, a habit is simply a behavior that has become automatic through repetition. It's something you do without consciously thinking about it, like brushing your teeth before bed or checking your phone first thing in the morning. Routines, on the other hand, are sequences of habits strung together. They're the patterns of behavior that shape your day, week, or even your entire life. The power of habits and routines lies in their ability to reduce decision fatigue. Every decision you make throughout the day, no matter how small, drains a bit of your mental energy. By turning key behaviors into habits and structuring your day with routines, you free up cognitive resources for more important tasks. It's like putting your productivity on autopilot. But here's the real magic. When you build the right habits and routines, you create a system that naturally guides you towards your goals. Instead of relying on willpower or motivation, which are finite resources, you leverage the power of consistency and repetition. It's about creating an environment and a schedule that makes the right behaviors not just easier, but almost inevitable. So how do we go about building these powerful habits and routines? It starts with understanding the anatomy of a habit. Every habit consists of three components: a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is the trigger that initiates the behavior. The routine is the behavior itself, and the reward is the benefit you get from performing the behavior. For example, let's say you want to build a habit of reviewing your daily goals each morning. The cue might be sitting down at your desk with your first cup of coffee. The routine would be opening your planner and spending 5 minutes reviewing and prioritizing your tasks for the day. The reward could be the sense of clarity and control you feel afterwards, or perhaps allowing yourself to check your email only after you've completed this review. Understanding this habit loop allows you to engineer new habits deliberately. You can choose a cue that's already part of your routine, design a behavior that moves you towards your goals, and identify a reward that reinforces the habit. One powerful technique for building new habits is called habit stacking. This involves attaching a new habit to an existing one. For instance, if you already have a habit of making your bed each morning, you could stack a new habit onto it. After I make my bed, I will meditate for 5 minutes. The existing habit serves as the cue for the new one, making it easier to remember and implement. Another key principle in habit formation is to start small. Many people fail to establish new habits because they try to change too much too quickly. Instead of attempting to overhaul your entire morning routine in one go, start with one tiny habit. Maybe it's writing down your top 3 priorities for the day or doing 2 minutes of stretching. Once this small habit is firmly established, you can gradually expand it or add new habits. Research by Philippa Lally and her colleagues at University College London found that, on average, it takes about 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. However, this can vary widely depending on the complexity of the habit and the individual. The key takeaway is that habit formation takes time and consistency. Don't get discouraged if your new habit doesn't feel automatic after a week or two. Keep at it, and eventually it will become second nature. Now that we understand the basics of habit formation, let's explore how we can use these principles to create powerful daily routines. A well-designed routine can be a game changer for your productivity and overall well-being. Let's start with the morning routine. How you begin your day often sets the tone for everything that follows. A good morning routine might include elements like reviewing your goals, planning your day, and engaging in some form of physical activity. The specific components will vary based on your personal preferences and circumstances, but the key is to design a routine that primes you for a productive day. For example, you might start by waking up at a consistent time each day. Upon waking, you could spend a few minutes in quiet reflection or meditation, followed by reviewing your goals for the day. Next, you might engage in some light exercise or stretching to energize your body. Finally, you could sit down to plan out your day in detail, identifying your most important tasks and scheduling them into your calendar. Remember, the goal isn't to create a perfect routine right away. Start with 1 or 2 elements and gradually build from there. The power of a morning routine comes from its consistency, not its complexity. Equally important is your evening routine. A well-designed evening routine helps you wind down from the day, reflect on your accomplishments, and set yourself up for success tomorrow. It might include elements like reviewing your day's achievements, planning for tomorrow, and engaging in relaxing activities to promote better sleep. For instance, you could start your evening routine by reviewing your to-do list and checking off completed items. Take a moment to celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Then, spend a few minutes planning for the next day, identifying your top priorities and any potential obstacles. Finally, engage in a calming activity like reading or gentle stretching to signal to your body that it's time to wind down. Between your morning and evening routines, it's helpful to have mini routines throughout the day. These can serve as reset points, helping you maintain focus and energy. For example, you might have a mid-morning routine of taking a short walk and reviewing your priorities for the rest of the day, or an after-lunch routine of doing a quick meditation to recenter yourself before diving back into work. One particularly powerful routine to consider is a weekly review. This is a dedicated time, perhaps on Sunday evening or Monday morning, where you review the past week and plan for the week ahead. During this time, you might reflect on your progress towards your goals, identify areas for improvement, and set your priorities for the coming week. This regular check-in helps ensure you're staying on track with your bigger picture goals and not just getting caught up in day-to-day tasks. As you start to implement these routines, you'll likely encounter some challenges. One common obstacle is the temptation to break your routine just this once. Remember, consistency is key in habit formation. It's better to do a scaled-down version of your routine than to skip it entirely. If you can't do your full morning routine one day, even just taking 5 minutes to review your priorities is better than nothing. Another challenge is maintaining motivation over time. This is where the concept of keystone habits can be helpful. Keystone habits are habits that, when changed, cause positive effects in other areas of your life. For example, regular exercise is often a keystone habit. When people start exercising regularly, they often naturally start eating better, sleeping better, and feeling more productive at work. Identifying and focusing on keystone habits can create a positive domino effect in your life. It's also important to remember that your routines should evolve as your life changes. What works for you now might not be ideal 6 months from now. Regularly review and adjust your routines to ensure they're still serving you well. This might mean adding new elements, removing others, or changing the timing of certain activities. Now, let's talk about how to actually implement these ideas in your life. Here's a step-by-step plan to help you build time-savvy habits and routines. Start by envisioning your ideal day. Take some time to think about what a perfect, productive day would look like for you. How would you start your morning? How would you structure your work hours? How would you wind down in the evening? Write this vision down in as much detail as possible. Next, identify the key differences between your ideal day and your current reality. Maybe you notice that in your ideal day, you're starting work earlier and finishing at a reasonable hour, whereas currently you often work late into the evening. Or perhaps in your ideal day, you're taking regular breaks to recharge, but in reality, you often work straight through without pausing. From these differences, choose 1 or 2 areas to focus on first. It's tempting to try and change everything at once, but remember, small, consistent changes are more likely to stick than dramatic overhauls. For each habit you want to implement, create what psychologists call an implementation intention. This is a specific plan for when and where you'll perform the new behavior. For example, when I sit down at my desk in the morning, I will spend 5 minutes reviewing my goals for the day. Or, at 6 p.m. each evening, I will shut down my computer and write tomorrow's to-do list. Next, set up your environment to support your new habits. If you want to start a habit of reading in the evening, place a book on your pillow each morning. If you want to exercise first thing, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Make it as easy as possible to do the right thing. Start implementing your new habits tomorrow. Use a simple tracking system. It could be as basic as marking an X on a calendar for each day you successfully complete your new habit. Do this for at least 2 weeks. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just note why it happened and get back on track the next day. Each week, evaluate your progress. Are you consistently following through on your new habits? If not, what's getting in the way? Maybe you need to adjust the timing, or perhaps you need to break the habit down into an even smaller step. Make tweaks as necessary and keep going. Once a habit feels stable, you're doing it consistently without much struggle, consider adding another small habit or expanding the existing one. For example, if you've successfully established a habit of reviewing your goals for 5 minutes each morning, you might extend it to 10 minutes and include some visualization of your long-term objectives. After about a month or 2 of consistent practice, your new habits should start to feel more automatic. At this point, you can document your routines in a My Daily Routine checklist. This serves as a reference point and a reminder of the structure you've created for yourself. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. Life will inevitably throw curveballs that disrupt your routines. The key is to have a strong enough foundation that you can easily get back on track after these disruptions. Be flexible and willing to adapt your routines as your life circumstances change. As you build these habits and routines, you'll likely start to notice some significant changes. Tasks that used to require willpower now happen almost automatically. You'll find yourself naturally prioritizing important work and making steady progress on your goals. Your days will have a rhythm and structure that supports productivity and reduces stress. In essence, you're creating a system that makes good time management the default rather than something you have to constantly struggle to achieve. You're becoming a time alchemist by design, using the science of habit formation to transform your daily hours into gold. But even as you master these habits and routines, you might wonder, how can I ensure that I'm not just being efficient, but truly effective? How do I know if I'm making progress on what really matters? In the next chapter, we'll explore a crucial skill that ties everything we've learned together and ensures that your newly optimized time is spent on the right things. Are you ready to discover the final piece of the Time Alchemist puzzle? Chapter 9. Continuous Improvement, Mastering Time for Life. Congratulations! You've made it to the final chapter of our journey together. By now, you've learned a wealth of strategies and techniques to manage your time more effectively. You've discovered how to set meaningful goals, prioritize tasks, overcome procrastination, and build powerful habits. But our work isn't done yet. In fact, in many ways, it's just beginning. Time mastery isn't a destination, it's an ongoing journey. The world around us is constantly changing, and so are we. New challenges arise, our goals evolve, and fresh opportunities present themselves. To truly become a time alchemist, you need to embrace a mindset of continuous improvement. Think of it this way. The strategies you've learned so far are like a set of powerful tools. But even the sharpest tools need regular maintenance to stay effective. And as your projects change, you might need to add new tools to your kit or learn to use your existing ones in different ways. This final chapter is all about keeping your time management skills sharp and relevant, no matter what life throws your way. We'll explore how to regularly assess and refine your approach, stay open to new ideas, and adapt your strategies as your circumstances change. By the end, you'll have a roadmap for ongoing growth and improvement that will serve you for years to come. Let's start by embracing the mindset of a true time master. The key here is to always see yourself as a student, even as you become more proficient. Stay curious and open to new ideas. Instead of thinking, "I've got it all figured out," ask yourself, "What's one thing I could improve next?" This humble, growth-oriented mindset is what separates true masters from those who merely achieve temporary success. It's what allows you to continue evolving and refining your skills over time. Remember, even world-class athletes and musicians never stop practicing and honing their craft. The same principle applies to time management. One powerful way to maintain this growth mindset is through regular reflection. Make reflection a built-in habit, just as you've learned to schedule your tasks and priorities. This could be a brief weekly review where you assess what went well and what didn't, a monthly check-in on your progress towards bigger goals, or an annual review where you set new objectives and eliminate practices that no longer serve you. During these reflections, ask yourself probing questions. Did I spend my time in line with my priorities this week? Where did I procrastinate and why? What accomplishment am I most proud of? And what's one thing I want to improve next week? By consistently asking these questions and writing down your answers, you'll start to notice patterns and insights that can guide your ongoing improvement. It's also crucial to recognize that major life changes will necessitate adjustments to your time management approach. A new job, a growing family, health issues, or a shift to remote work. All of these can upend your carefully crafted routines. Instead of clinging to an outdated system, be willing to redesign your approach to fit your new reality. The core principles you've learned will remain the same, but how you apply them might need to change. To keep your time management skills sharp, consider conducting periodic time audits. Remember the time audit you did back in Chapter 1? It's worth repeating this exercise every 6 months or so, or whenever you feel like your time is slipping away from you. You might be surprised to discover new time leaks or inefficiencies that have crept in. Maybe a new app on your phone has become a time sink, or perhaps meetings have slowly started to eat up more of your day. By catching these issues early, you can recalibrate before they become major problems. As you progress on your time mastery journey, you'll likely encounter new opportunities and commitments. It's important to assess these carefully before saying yes. Use the prioritization skills you've developed to evaluate new commitments against your current goals and existing responsibilities. Remember, it's easier to maintain good time use than to rescue it after you've become overloaded. Don't forget to celebrate your progress along the way. During your monthly or quarterly reviews, take note of how much you've achieved. Maybe you've completed a certification in half the time you expected, or perhaps you've consistently stuck to a new productive habit. Acknowledge these wins and use them as motivation to set new challenges. To keep your time management skills fresh and relevant, make a habit of continually learning about productivity techniques. The field is always evolving, with new research, books, and tools coming out regularly. Consider reading at least one productivity book a year or following a blog or podcast on the topic. Not every new idea will be relevant to you, but you're likely to find fresh insights that can reinvigorate your approach. It's also worth periodically auditing the tools and technologies you use to manage your time. Are they still serving you well, or have they become cumbersome? Maybe a new app could automate a task you've been doing manually, or perhaps you've outgrown a complex system and need something simpler. Don't change tools too often. That can be a form of procrastination in itself, but be open to alternatives if your current setup is causing friction. Peer learning and mentoring can be incredibly valuable in your ongoing improvement. Discuss time management with colleagues or friends. You might pick up new tips or gain fresh perspectives. Consider joining a professional group or online forum focused on productivity. You could even mentor someone else on time management. Teaching others is a powerful way to reinforce your own knowledge and often leads to new insights. As you continue to refine your time management skills, be wary of complacency. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, I'm good now, I don't need to change anything. But even small lapses can compound over time. Keep an eye out for signs that you're slipping. Maybe you've stopped reviewing your goals regularly, or you find yourself saying, I'm too busy to plan more often. When you notice these yellow flags, it's time to double down on the basics and reestablish your core habits. Remember, the ultimate goal of mastering your time isn't just to be more productive at work. It's about living a richer, more fulfilling life. Periodically step back and ask yourself, are my time and goals aligned with where I ultimately want to go in life? It's possible to become extremely efficient at climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. Ensure that the pursuits you're optimizing for are truly meaningful to you. Consider the compounding effect of your time management improvements. If you save just 1 hour a day through better habits, that's 365 hours a year, equivalent to over 9 40-hour work weeks. Think about what you could do with that time. Learn a new language, write a book, spend more quality time with loved ones, or simply relax and enjoy life more. These small daily wins can lead to enormous life wins over time. As you continue to refine and improve your time management skills, you may find that you've not just built a more productive career, but a richer, more balanced life. You're able to achieve your big goals while also being present for the small, meaningful moments. You have time for personal growth, for nurturing relationships, for contributing to your community. This is the true alchemy of time mastery, turning mere hours into a life well lived. To help you maintain this ongoing growth and improvement, let's introduce one final framework, the time mastery cycle. This cycle consists of 6 steps that you can apply to any area of your time management you want to improve. 1. Assess, regularly observe your current time management reality. Use tools like time audits, journals, or simply mindful awareness to identify bottlenecks or new opportunities. 2. Plan. Based on your assessment, plan an adjustment or experiment. This could be a small tweak to your routine or a larger strategy shift. 3. Act. Put your plan into action consistently. Give it enough time to see the effects. Don't abandon ship after just a day or two. 4. After a set period, review the results. Did the change help? Were there any unintended side effects? 5. Celebrate and solidify. If the change yielded improvement, acknowledge it and integrate it into your standard routine. 6. Set next target. Once one area is tuned up, look for the next area to improve. This keeps you continuously moving forward. As you work through this cycle, remember to lean on the toolbox you've built throughout this book. Feeling overwhelmed? Revisit the prioritization techniques from Chapter 4. Procrastinating again? Refresh yourself on the strategies from Chapter 5. The knowledge you've gained isn't just for one-time use. It's a reference library you can return to again and again. Finally, consider sharing your knowledge with others. As you continue to improve, teach these methods to colleagues, team members, or even your family. Not only does this reinforce your own practices, but it contributes to a culture of efficiency and balance around you. Plus, Those you teach may come back with their own tips and insights, sparking your next improvement. As we close this book, I want you to realize something profound. You now possess the tools to take control of your time in a way few people ever achieve. You understand how to set meaningful goals, prioritize effectively, overcome procrastination, build powerful habits, and continuously improve your skills. You have the power to shape your days, weeks, and years according to your true priorities and deepest values. But here's the real magic. As you apply these skills consistently over time, you're not just managing your schedule more effectively. You're crafting a life of purpose, achievement, and fulfillment. You're creating space for what truly matters, whether that's career success, personal relationships, creative pursuits, or simply peace of mind. Remember, time is the most precious resource we have. It's the raw material from which we build our lives. By mastering your time, you're mastering your life itself. You're no longer at the mercy of external demands or fleeting urgencies. Instead, you're consciously shaping each day to align with your vision for your life. This journey of time mastery is ongoing. There will be challenges and setbacks along the way. But armed with the strategies and mindset you've developed, you're equipped to handle whatever comes your way. Each obstacle becomes an opportunity to refine your approach, each setback a chance to learn and grow. As you move forward from here, carry with you the knowledge that you have the power to turn your hours into extraordinary results, and those results into a life of meaning and impact. But mastering time is just the beginning of your journey. To truly alchemize your life, you need to harness the power of laser-like focus and strategic thinking. These skills are the key to unlocking even greater levels of achievement and fulfillment. What if you could not only manage your time effectively, but also make decisions with crystal clarity and execute your plans with unwavering precision? The answers lie in the audiobook, The Alchemy of Focus, a journey through strategic thinking and planning. Tap the center of the video now to continue your transformation journey.